From a philosophical standpoint that includes morals, it is hard to determine whether Kira was right or wrong. It's a vast debate that will lead to nowhere. But from a concrete, logical standpoint, it's simply a matter of looking at the outcomes and determine based on numbers and results. Light started as an idealist who devoted his entire life to meticulously ridding the world of dangerous criminals. His ideal was to create a place where innocents, upstanding members of society thrived and criminals slowly diminished. Light managed to put an end to wars, and during his reign as Kira, the global crime rate dropped by a whopping 70%. How many innocents were killed in basically any war? How many innocents were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Kira prevented those things from ever happening again. Whether every person he killed deserved it is arguable, but the positive impact is clear. If in 6 years he managed to lower the global crime rate by 70%, in 2 more years it would undeniably drop to a perfect 100%. You can philosophize as much as you want about how morally wrong was Kira, but a world without crimes, Kira's ideal, was a couple of years from being a reality. Evil people still existed, of course, but they were afraid to do anything because they would get killed by Kira. At the end of the day, evil people lived in fear, while honest people lived in peace. I agree with Kira's justice, with his ideal, but I want to discuss the arguments that were made against him and see if they hold any meaning. A common thing that I hear a lot is that many people found Light's actions justifiable until he crossed the line and killed innocent people, which also ties to the most prominent argument that Kira killed those 12 FBI agents who were just trying to do their jobs and catch him. But this logic seems very strange to me. Yes, those FBI agents were innocent, but they were trying to catch Kira. The only way to get them off his track was to either surrender, which was not an option, or to kill them. This might sound weird, but he made the right choice. The FBI agents were well aware of how dangerous and deadly was Kira. They took the risk upon themselves. It's not as though they were forced to be part of the Kira's case. From a viewer perspective, those 12 FBI agents were innocent. But from Kira's perspective, they wanted to prevent him from punishing criminals. They were a threat to him as they would stop him. So why wouldn't he kill them? Why wouldn't he eliminate the threat? It's always a very nonsensical argument every time I hear it. The viewer sees that Ray Pember did not discover anything about Light and would eventually stop tailing him. But Light doesn't know that. From Light's perspective, Ray was following him until that point and would still follow him onwards. The same thing applies to Naomi Misora. If she had the chance to talk to L, Kira would have been caught. The death of the FBI agents was strongly justified. But what about the innocents who simply did nothing wrong? Why does Kira, a man, has the right to play God and decides who lives or dies? This is a very interesting question, because it seems obviously correct, but I find it very odd. If Kira doesn't decide whether someone should be punished or not, then that task is assigned back to the law, which is the exact problem Kira acted in the first place. But let's start with the beginning. Who does Kira punish? Kira only punishes criminals and those who are a threat to him. Common people have nothing to fear. As long as common people don't break the rules of the society, then there's absolutely no reason to fear Kira. A lot of people brought up that criminals have lives and families too, so they shouldn't be killed. They could have grown up in a horrible environment or have a sort of mental illness. Fair enough. But listen to this mundane example. For a person who lives an honest life, got an education, works a job, has a fiancé, and looks forward to establish a family. For a person like that, to have his fiancé murdered because someone grew up in a horrible environment, why would it be that person's problem? That person's life essentially was ruined because someone else had a hard time in life and decided to kill this person's fiancé and steal her money. Maybe it was out of necessity, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. A criminal's life is not as valuable as an innocent person's. There are 7 billion people in this world, so why do we value them all so highly? For every criminal who dies, a newly born will replace them. We should be thinking what's best for humanity as a whole. Kira thinks he's better than the law created by the society, but he is better. The justice system is a failure. Laws are not perfect, they are full of loopholes that people take advantage of. Even if you are guilty of a crime, as long as you have a good lawyer, you can always get away with it. Is it fair? No, laws are imperfect because they are made by imperfect people. On the same note, prison is useless. It doesn't re-educate inmates, it doesn't help them, it just reinforces their bad habits. Most of the people who leave prison end up going back in a few months for the same crimes or for worse ones. Those are facts, it's not even arguable. In absence of a system that helps criminals, helps them change lifestyle and helps them understand society, the best way to ensure a peaceful and just world is to kill criminals, so that everyone can see, well, that's wrong. But this raises another question. Why should a criminal be redeemable? If a person intentionally kills an entire family, maybe leaving one kid alive, that person would most likely go to prison. Probably for life, probably not. Prison is not that bad. There is food, a bed to sleep, a shower, books to read, etc. From an outsider perspective, from someone who isn't connected to that family that was murdered, maybe that person who is in prison is redeemable. And even if that person is in fact redeemable, from that remaining kid's perspective, that person is a murderer who deserves to die. That person ruined his life, killed his family. Why does it matter whether he is redeemable or not? From that kid's perspective, why is there someone who decides whether that person is redeemable or not? If you don't respect someone's life, why should yours be respected? We have societies with well-established specific rules for peace and order. If a criminal violates these rules, they have shown that they are no longer valuable to the society and should be eliminated. If criminals are not afraid of the law, then why is it wrong for them to fear Kira? People who live honest lives have everything bright ahead of themselves. Imagine how many murders, rapes, assaults and violence Kira prevented by killing mostly already guilty criminals and a few innocents. Mad Pat made a brilliant video on how deadly was the Death Note, highly suggest checking it, but long story short, according to his calculations, Light killed at least 242,000 people. According to some studies, approximately 4% of people on death row are actually innocent. Because of this, Light has killed more than 11,000 innocent people. We know that the crime rate has dropped by 70%, which equates to 611,000 people who have been killed had Kira not intervened. So by killing 46,000 people per year, around 2,000 of those being innocent, Kira has prevented more than 600,000 deaths every year. Yes, it was horrible killing those innocents, but it worked. Kira's world is correct in every way. You don't need to react to injustice if there are no crimes, effectively making Kira the one bad individual so that everyone else will live a good life. The only argument you can make against Light is that he killed some innocents due to false allegations. Even with research and Light's intelligence, there's still a high chance that at least 1 in 100 criminals he killed was arrested under false pretenses. In a statistical sense, the end most definitely justifies the means. A few thousand innocents die, but all crime gets eradicated. In the long run, way more people's lives get saved with Light's method of eradicating crime. I can't help but wonder if L didn't intervene, or maybe if he didn't exist, Kira would only kill criminals. There would be no innocent people murdered other than those falsely accused. A small price for a greater cause, I'd say. But speaking of L, what do you think L's justice, and therefore near justice, did in the end? Kira lost and their justice prevailed. What did it mean? The crime rate increased again, people were harassed again, they were afraid to walk outside at night, honest people had to suffer again. So in my opinion, Kira is justice.